Welcome to my secret room. Guess where it is? Give up. Let me show you how to do this. First, let me just say that it's not common for this particular installation, and I'll explain why. My baseboards are really wide with the quarter round. So when I put this on, the door, right, was gonna like rub this thing, and that's about as far as you can go, which is not good. That's why this is like this, so that way you can get all of this. I had to build my entire wall off the wall with 1x4s because of this. See right down there, that space, that gap? That is the subfloor. That's what I had to cover. So that's why this looks this way. Just an FYI. So in here, I have my magnetic lock here. This here is a little push just to make sure it pops off the hinge nicely. Inside, we have electric. More electric. This here is the receiver and the mag lock. Up here, I put this hardboard so that way you don't get nails in your skull when you come down here. And shortly, I'm going to put my safe and hide all my weapons and things like that up in here safely and securely. So you got one step, particle board flooring, which again, I did on the trusses, I did the strips across. And right here, you got 56 square feet. This is basically 9 foot wide and 6 foot this way. So you got 6 by 9, 56, I think that's 56 square feet. So there's that. Close it up. Whoop. Click. This one here is a little hinge that springs with a little magnet in there. And there's a couple more magnets, one here and one down there by the floor, just to keep it straight. So that's how that works. And that's what it looks like, people. This whole project took me about a week or so, and probably about maybe $1,000 give or take for all the materials involved. Of course, I had all the tools, but everything else was around there. Now, regarding the magnetic lock, I have these 2 little remotes that it comes with. And of course, the Chinese people screw you. So you got lock is unlock and unlock is lock. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of good because on a secret room, the buttons are backwards. If that's cool, I don't know. So anyway, lock is unlock. There you go. So that, I forget how to use my own door. Okay, that opens up there. So you can see right here, that's the plate that catches onto this. And then I have a little receiver slash 5-volt power supply for this unit, and that's plugged into the outlet down below. This here is just a little extra bump so that way it pops off nice. And that's really all there is to this Mag-Lock puck. I'm also going to put in here, there was a switch, but I had to take it out because it was actually keeping my kit from working because it was a normally open switch, and when you press it, it was doing the opposite of what I needed to do. I needed it to be a normally closed switch, so when you hit it, it opens, which is what happens when you normally have this thing working properly. It's closed. You want that sucker to be, in a normally closed position. When you release the power, that's open, which is what this happens. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm gonna do with this room is I'm gonna basically put this material over here vertically across the entire wall, and here, straight down approximately 2 feet, there's gonna be a hidden door. This would be normally wasted space because my roof right there underneath those windows kind of drops off and goes down on a 45. So there's a good solid few feet back there that I can use. So I'm gonna open it up, make a door, and I'm gonna use that as a storage area. So here's my preliminary hole to see what all is going on back there. Although I do have pictures of what's on the side of the wall, it looks a little different from this side. So going in there, using this, thankfully, and not this beast, you see what you find? This guy which connects to this. And I'm going to meter this out and see if this one's feeding that one or this one's feeding this one or what else is going on. Then this one here is where my door is going to be, on the left side of the door anyway. So I'm going to open this up to get a good looky inside there. Okay, we're moving along. So I got the outlets out. I just separated the trim at the floor so I can pull that piece off. And I left myself an opening of about 24 inches, which is plenty. And then you can get down. I'm going to probably create a couple steps into this new hidden space area. Did a new top plate there. The bottom plate I'm going to probably leave in there and integrate it to the steps. There was an electrical line here, which I'm going to have to reroute, box, and go up and around, but that's okay. Hopefully, when I pull off this molding, that the wood was close enough to the floor, so when I put this new piece on, it's going to cover the seam. If not, I may have to use 1x4s on this entire wall to build the whole wall out to make it flush. Because I can do that because I have a little bit of room here with these casings on these windows, but we'll see. There's the pile of mess. This is my best friend right now, and we're moving along. Okay, so I'm back today, and I'm gonna do all my strips up along the walls so I can do my build up for each panel that's gonna go vertical. The doorway is cut open, or the roughing anyway. And here, I wanna make a step eventually. Here's my subfloor, so I basically crossed across all the trusses across there. And this will all get covered by plywood. Of course, the back wall will get covered in plywood. And so far, it's looking pretty good. A little moving of electrical wires here and there, but getting there. I'm just about ready to wrap it up for today, so I'll show you my progress. This is the same old, same old. So now you can see I got a step, 11 inch by 7 inch high. All the sheathing is in. Tomorrow is another day. All right, back to work. So I got these outlets here ready to come out, which will be reinstalled in the front of those eventually. Door is basically roughed out. I got it trimmed out, taped up, and I also covered this with some of this hardboard, so that way you don't hit your head coming in here. I got a little step here. It's 11 by 7.5. So that'll bring you right down into the little secret room. You see it's all basically framed out, all sheathed and ready to basically move on to the next step. All I got to do now is basically grab this electric, grab it on the back, make a new outlet box, rerun this out. I'm going to add an outlet there. Also over here, I'm going to do a pull chain light, and it's going to come around down this way to reconnect to that outlet, which feeds the rest of the upstairs room. Don't know if I mentioned it or not, but basically these 4 super ultra long trusses that are super strong, that's where I plan on putting my safe, right in there. And I might put a board in front just to make it look cosmetically good, but it's not really necessary. But that's the plan. Time for some lunch. So I'm inside the room now, and I wanted to show you all this here. I had to run the electric, which was going through the jam. I pulled it back out, put the junction box here, and I'm going to run one leg over across the door to connect to the other side that feeds the rest of the outlets over there. So it'll look just like this, just on that side. And over here, I'm also going to run another one up and over, so that way I can apply power from my electromagnetic door lock, as well as one of those cheap pull chain lights. So I always have light in here, which is, I think, a good upgrade. This is the stuff you never think of until you're in there. So here's some of my electrical work. This here is on the left side of the door, which is the junction box. I have an auxiliary outlet here, which runs up and over. This is going to be my pulley light. So it's going to be like one of those chain pulley lights with an outlet built into it. This I'm going to tighten up. This wiring in this room is done. Finally. All the work on the inside is complete. I'm going to start putting on my stringers. These guys here, these are 1x4s. I'm just going to, which you can see I marked off all the studs here. Maybe that should help. You can kind of see the faint lines there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those, I'm going to run them across, five of them across, so that way I can take the panels and I'll have something to nail them into. And I have to build the wall off, if you remember, because I have the space down here. So those will give me an extra 3/4 of an inch, plus the 1/2 inch of the panels. Now it'll cover up that seam. Lovely. Here's the wall with all the stringers in place. The outlets prepared for the extension to come out on the new panels. So I got tops and I got some randomly in the middle. So they can go there, door, finito. But that's tomorrow. Okay, so now today we're at the part where we're gonna install a new door. So I built this door out of 2x4s. I doubled up the headers at the top and the bottom of the door, center supports. Got my brackets in there. Beep, beep. Now we have to bring it upstairs and get a test fit. So I got my door just basically placed in there, and the concealed hinges are installed on this side. But on this side I left them out so that way I can match them up to the stud existing in the wall. So that way I can mark them off and it'll tell me where I have to route. Then I can slide the door in place for a fit. And here's the door. Boop. There's the hinges in there. Doop, doop, top and bottom. Ready for the new boards to get installed tomorrow. All right. I left off, you saw all this. My first slat is up, which is gonna be underneath the door, which is right here. There you go. Outlet 1, outlet 2. There you go. So there's that panel. So this guy's in here. I had to reinforce the door because it was a little flimsy. So I used some of these slats and some short drywall screws, and this is kind of like how that works. See? Looks pretty good, right? So there's that. And tomorrow I'll come back and I'll finish off this whole wall. And I'm gonna put in the magnetic lock with the hidden switch. Like I mentioned, there's gonna be a magnetic lock, which is typically used in a commercial door, but in my case, I'm gonna use it for a hidden door. So right now you can see the magnet's there. It's not coming off. Hit unlock. Boop. Now I'll hit lock. Stays closed. So it comes with 2 remotes, and I'm going to hardwire a momentary switch that's going to be hidden to override this. And when the power's out, this will by default stay unlocked, so you can't get locked inside the room, if you were wondering. And these kits are readily available on eBay, Amazon. I think I got this one on eBay. It was around 50 bucks, nothing excitable. It's actually overkill. You don't need anything this powerful, but it was a good deal. So there it is, and this is why I ran 2 outlets in my secret room upstairs, because I didn't know where this was going to lay out. But you'll see more about that when I finish the wiring in the next step of the video. Back on the project again today, and here's the newest progress. I got about, I guess you call it 2/3 of the wall, but I call it almost 3/4 because when you see what I went through here, you'll understand. So this door was fine, but when I opened it, sorry. The problem I was experiencing is when I was opening the door, this was getting squished on this. You see what's going on here? So what I had to do is improvise, since I had the space between the baseboard where it was removed, and I had to build the whole wall off with this 1x4. It created a whole bunch of other problems. So this is the first problem. So I was thinking maybe I'll get different hinges, but what I came up with instead is this. I made a small little section that I pulled out before. I could pull this out, and that'll give me a full 90 degrees or maybe even more swing of the door. You see that? So you shut that up, boop, and then that, and then there you go. Works. Outlet, of course, that's for last. That's it. And once I put my magnetic lock, this will get sucked in, and that'll stay real nice and flush like it should. So there's the latest. And I decided to do this in sections of under the window, above the window, and in between, because when I cut on the bottom and it stops, never, of course, perfectly, you have to take that and mirror it on the top. Otherwise, the slats don't line up properly. So that is another challenge. And that's the kind of stuff you don't realize until you start doing this kind of work. But so far, we're making it happen. The whole wall is completed now. You can see that. Here's my little door, which opens beautifully. And that's more than 90 degrees. So you can't ask for much more than that. There you go. Tomorrow we'll put on the hardware for the electromagnetic lock on this one. And this one here needs no hardware at all. Just push it shut. That's why we have that.